Monday, Middle Management Monday. Welcome to the superpilotish channel. My name is Graham Wilson, and today, in my basement, I'll be telling you all about the joys of middle management and basically giving a tip. So, the Middle Management Monday for my show is just going to be every Monday, I'm going to give you something that you can actually use as a middle manager to basically make your job easier and hopefully your customers happier and all your employees more efficient and happier and safer and all that other great stuff all in one show. Wow, that's a lot to that's a lot to promise. I don't know if I can deliver, but I'll give you a tip today. So today's middle management tip is this is middle management number 3. Tip number 3: remember people's names. How could that possibly help out? Well, it makes a big difference. Uh, Now I remember this, and I actually used it when I was back in the world of middle management. And I remember, I will be quoting this book here. Okay, this is the new one, How to Win Friends and Influence People, but it's in the digital age. But before I was a middle manager, I read the original one. And hey, Rich. And so it was How to Win Friends and Influence People. And I was thinking, I remember it specifically that, like, in the original book, they were talking about, remember people's names. If I remember correctly, it said something like people's names are like music to their ears. And I just kind of gave a glance over this. I read it a few months ago, and it's kind of a little bit different in the digital age. That they when the revamp of the book was that then when they started talking about names, it jogged my memory, and I was like, oh, okay. Like, in the digital age, you want to be kind of names are not just like, oh, okay, oh, I gotta remember my name, cool, or I remembered her name, and now she's very pleasant with me or something. But it's more about kind of like branding and online stuff, and you want your name to be remembered, and you want to be associated with other names. And I never really thought about that when I was a middle manager, but I was like a chief flight instructor at a flight club, so I wasn't really concerned too much about online branding or anything. I guess I kind of am now. But yeah, so I'll kind of go over just this book is all kinds of little stories, anecdotes about what happened, where and when, and this is why it's such great advice. So we're going to be talking. I will read you a little story from this book. Okay, so there's this dude. His name he was from Watkinsville, Georgia. And his name was Mr. Bates. I was thinking, should I read this? Because someone's going to start joking in the comments about if he was younger, he would be Master. But anyways, that's isn't that from Home Alone or something like that? No, one of those movies. Funny so-and-so joke. Anyways, so he's a business owner who always takes his top out of town suppliers to Bones, a famous Atlanta restaurant some 70 miles away. His loyalty, however, wasn't born of their exquisite menu, branded as well as any in North America. It started with a waiter named James. As Mr. Bates and a supplier pulled up to the table one evening, James approached promptly. "Hello, Mr. Bates," he said. "Thank you for choosing Bones. It's a pleasure to have you back." To hear Mr. Bates describe it, it was no insignificant moment. It changed the dining experience and imprinted that restaurant in my mind. That's what he said. I had only dined there once before, 6 months earlier, and James not only knew my name, he took the time to discover I'd been there before. I was by no means a regular, but the small gesture made me feel like one. It was the old adage about treating someone like the person you want him to become coming true. For such a small gesture, it paid dividends. "I don't take my suppliers anywhere else now," said Mr. Bates. Judging by the popularity of Bones, it would seem many customers share his sentiment. So, here we go. This is the primary business payoff of remembering people's names. They remember you. The flip side is an unenviable place to be. Okay, so everyone likes to. It's pretty cool if you ever go. Maybe you're a regular at a restaurant or a bar or something like that. And you walk in, they go like, "Hey, Graham. Oh, cool. It's this kind of stranger kind of knows me. That's neat." And and the best example of someone remembering names was that I've ever worked with was years ago. I was delivering prescriptions for a pharmacy here in town, and the area manager, this guy knew like every employee's name in the whole area, like top to bottom, not just managers, pharmacists, merchandisers, delivery guys, the people that worked the cashiers. This guy just knew everybody's name, and it was weird. And I had only remotely even seen this guy dropping off, paperwork and dropping stuff off at the head office. And I just kind of I'd seen him walking around and stuff like that. Never met the guy or anything. And then we're at a Christmas party, and the company Christmas party with there's like I don't know over 1,000 people there. And he walks up and he says, "Oh, Merry Christmas, Graham." And I'm like, I don't have my name tag on. I've never met this guy. He just kind of made a point to know who I was. That was weird. It's like, who is this freak? But and I told that to the people at work, and they're like, "Oh yeah, he just knows everybody." So that's kind of neat. And I guess that was one of the skills that got him up to the area manager. Those little things of remembering people's names. And now I don't know. I think the guy was like, I think if you do something like that, you should be a little bit genuine about it. Sort of, you know, uh, you can have like sales guys when they want your money. Oh, hi, how are you? Oh, yes, Graham. Yeah, how are things? Great. Yeah, yeah. And it's like, okay, he's remembering my name to get money off of me. It's kind of, But that's me. Maybe I'm a little more skeptical than most people. Others would be like, "Hey, take my money," I guess. But if you're a salesman, yeah, you better know some. That's the skill of the job. If you're a salesman, you got to know people's names. Oh, hey, Nefarious, I see you're in here too. And yeah, it's just a kind of this. Uh, I would kind of think it'd be my guess is that the people that call you by name at first is like when you're a kid, your family or grandparents or whatever. You're that kid instead of that kid. So there's people's names. It's adds that if you remember them, it's kind of like evokes familiarity, and you're just going to naturally like that person a little bit more. So I mean, and if you ever meet anyone out there and they just remember your name, it's a learned skill. Like I learned it, and I mean, you can't remember everybody's name, but some people are really good at it, and so yeah, it's something where, and then I've also known different restaurants and stuff like that. I've heard of like, oh, if you go there to her restaurant, she'll come down and she'll remember you. She'll know all about your family, the name of your dog, everything like that. And I think some people can remember names better than others because it's with any type of memory. If you're learning how to fly, you have to memorize a whole bunch of things. So if it's important to you and you put some effort into it, you'll be more likely to be successful at it for anything. So I think some people just kind of naturally they really like people, and they these real. I had my former Uncle Jerry, as my mom said, he could talk to a tree. Great salesman. Oh yeah, hey, how's it going? Great. Like really funny, good old guy. And yeah, so Uncle Jerry, he could talk to a tree, and he knew everything about everybody, and so he one of those real people persons. And so it just comes naturally to some, and they like it, and they really like the interactions. And other people are more, I don't know. Most pilots are actually pretty quiet. So us pilots, if we're going to get into middle management, we got to kind of learn these things and force ourselves a little bit to be a little bit more people. So, oh, Greg's in here too. Hey, Greg. So, yeah, there was that. So here's my tip, long-winded, going around to teach you this one little tip today. And so, how would you now? The way that I remember people's names, because I'm not one of those people. Yeah, I don't like socializing all that much. I mean, I wouldn't say I'm a hermit, but I don't feel like, yeah, I like taking things easy and with not too many people. So smaller organizations are better than bigger ones for me. But yeah, I would make it a point to, okay, I have to remember this person's name. And you remember that just the same way as you would anything else, through repetition. And I've talked about it on the show before about some people call it the curve of remembering, the curve of forgetting, and it's basically, if you got to jog your memory of these things every once in a while, otherwise it kind of goes away. Just like, I mean, I've worked with all kinds of people in my life, tons of machine shops, and I've had a bunch of jobs working with hundreds of people, and I can't remember. You could spend like 2 years working with somebody, and I don't remember who they are. Like this one guy, I'm just thinking about, Picky Pete. I have no idea what his last name is, but he was always really picky. because, but I always like to get my parts checked by Picky Pete, because it was like he was really, really specific about, okay, the tolerance on this is, plus or minus 1,000th of an inch. I'm like, yeah, I'd say that's good. It's, minus, that should work. And then I'd get it, Picky Pete, to check it, and he'd be like, oh, you might want to adjust it by just a little bit more to get it a little bit closer to the zero. And I'm like, well, it's intolerance. But Picky Pete was right. So he was a good guy. But can I remember his last name? I just remember Picky Pete. And then, so that's another one there too, where you remember things that are unusual. That was his nickname. Just like I worked with a guy, his name was, everyone called him Freddie, but his real name was Keith. Another guy worked with him. Everyone called him Ben or Benny, but his real name was Bill. So I don't know. Guys get these nicknames and stuff, but I remember the nicknames because they're a little weird and unusual, right? So if you can, or it's easier to remember that person that remember that guy. He was like really tall. He was like 7 feet or something. Oh yeah, that was Joe. Or whatever. If something's a little bit more unusual, you'll kind of remember it. Or that guy always wore red running shoes. Why did he do that? So it's you can kind of associate things. Say somebody's name. Uh, I don't know. You kind of you learn their name, so it's Dave. Okay, well, everyone's Dave, but you can kind of add something onto that to make it in your mind kind of more visually. It'd be like, maybe he just came back from a vacation to Australia, so you call him Dingo Dave. Just don't call him that to his face, but you can think of yourself, oh, Dingo Dave, and there he is. He's walking around, walking a dingo on a leash. I think a dingo is like a wild dog or something like that. But anyways, that might help you out. And then repeat, 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 repeat. You could always also have, in your little scheduling program, if it's digital or old school with a book, write people's names down as you meet them, or maybe something interesting about them. And this politicians have been doing that for years. They do. Like if someone's like a really high level, prime minister, president, whatever, there's some aide over there that's done all kinds of research on the meeting that they're going to. Oh yeah, sir. Okay. His wife's name is Judy, and their daughter just had a baby. It was like, oh, how's Judy doing? And oh, I just heard you had another grandchild. Was it a boy or girl? Oh, that's fantastic. Yes, that guy doesn't remember anything, but however you can remember those names, it doesn't matter. Like I think it's a good skill to have if you're genuine and you actually do care about the person. You want them to have a good time or something, or have a good experience with your business or something like that. But if you're trying to shake them down for donations and stuff like that, it's a little slimy. But hey, that's part of the job. But that's why we don't talk about politics here in the on the superpilotish channel. But I mean, that's one of those skills of the job. If you are a politician, part of your job is remembering names and who's important and where, and that could be quite helpful. Write it down. Repetition, repetition, repetition. Put something weird and unusual attached to it, and make it kind of visual that was weird, that stands out, because you remember things that are unusual. You don't remember every time you drive. You don't remember every intersection you've ever driven through in your car, but you remember that one time where you nearly got hit by the truck. It's like you remember that time. So the things that are unusual, you'll remember them a little bit better with repetition, repetition, repetition. And so, what's the big tip today? I will repeat it again. I just remember some names. Makes your job a little bit easier. People like, and the thing is, if you're a middle manager, you don't want your employees to hate you. You don't have to have them put you up on a pedestal of like, oh, you're like a super manager, the king of the middle managers. Nothing like that. But I mean, yeah, you have a little bit of respect or something. And I'd rather be happy at work than miserable, or hang around happy people rather than miserable people, or someone that gives a crap about me. So, anyways, there we go. That is just a little middle management Monday tip. Okay, and we'll go through some of these little comments and stuff like that. Rave Shaman's in here too. That's cool. Oh, ever notice that I kind of mention people's names here? That's one of those things. I do do that on purpose, to mention anyone that's in the chat if I notice it. I like giving the shout outs like that because, well, just because if I'm ever in someone else's chat, I like it when they notice me. I'm like, hey, I'm online. So this guy over here on the other side of the country, he's acknowledging me. That's cool. It makes me feel good. So I hope you guys feel good too. So I am doing this on purpose, not for any evil, nefarious, like Nefarious Johnson, nefarious things. Okay. There we go. Wrench always has something to say, which is good. That's why I like people coming by and leaving their comments and questions. Most employers of mine, people wore badges with their names. Not now. Yeah, name tags are, well, in my little thumbnail at the beginning of this, having a name tag is, I don't know, I guess you could, yeah, it's easier to identify people, and I wonder if that's kind of like a artificial management way of doing it, where you can just, I don't know, would that, even you put name tags, will that increase the morale? I would think so, because even if someone doesn't remember, and they always do that at conferences and stuff. Hello, my name is blah blah blah. So, oh well. Yeah, I don't know if you really need name tags. That could also be something maybe like way from, like in the military and stuff. Your name's always on your uniform. I don't know, but there is a thing about uniforms too, where if it's uniforms, yeah, I guess that's kind of a military thing too, where it gives you more of a team, more sense of homogeneity. Homogeneity, I guess, is the word, and it might help out morale or something like that. We're all on the same team. Some people like to play team sports. Okay. All right. All right. I'll read this one out because it's blatant pandering. What's the best way to remember names? Think of someone else with the same name. Yeah, that'll work too. Everyone knows Graham's name. He's that famous podcaster. Well, maybe one day. You never know. But that trick worked on me. I do like to see my name. So thanks, Rich. Okay. Oh, okay. So here we go. We're hearing a testimonial here from Greg. A restaurant chain in Portland showed him a publication of being a leader instead of a boss. Last job was at a homeless recovery center where case managers were amazed that I could remember names, 500 plus. Yeah, and that's another thing too, is that the more effort you put into it and the more you do it, the better you get. So, well, that's pretty cool. I'm glad Greg he agrees with me now. Well, I'm just reading what was in a book, but I mean, yeah, I mean, remembering names, it works. Okay. What else we got here? Da, 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 da. Okay. It's nice to know here too the wonderful name of the Taylor 12 string. So that's cool. You know, I've always wondered about getting a Taylor, or not a Taylor 12 string, but 12 string guitars. They just sound zing, you know, they sound so cool. But I can't really see where I would ever play it. And plus, I don't know. I'm pretty crap now. I've kind of sort of plateaued on my guitar playing. I'll just keep picking away at it. Another 10 years, I might be ready for prime time. Okay. What else we got here? Hey, right on. Lisa T showed up. Welcome to the show, Lisa T. I'm glad you came by. Oh, here we go. Mona Moore's got a really good tip here, too. Name tag should be worn on the right hand side. When you greet someone with a handshake, they turn their body slightly towards you, which allows to quickly glance at your badge unnoticed. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, I know she's worked in corporate before. So, yeah, so you put your name tag on the right side. Yeah. All right. That is, so it's kind of like up your arm where you would be shaking. All right. I remember hearing that tip somewhere before. Thank you. All right. Oh, yeah. The 12 string. This Rave Shaman must be a computer person with that 12 string. It's good for workout. Yeah, the 12 string. I've noodled around with them at the guitar shop before, and it's like, yeah. Like even my crappy old acoustic in the corner there. It's like, why does that really build up your calluses and your finger muscles too? But I like to go faster on my electric. It's one of those trade offs. Okay, so that is about it. That was another one thing too about when people say, I remember it was something I read about when you're thanking people. If you say, I'd like to thank each and every one of you for showing up today, and they say each and every one of you makes it more personal for, because you're each individually and all of you all together. So if you ever hear anyone saying that, I'd like to thank each and every one of you for showing up, they learn that they're doing it. It's just one of those things. But I mean, it's one of those things like you got to learn how to do a proper handshake too. Not too firm, not too dead fish. And it's one of those things. Okay, all right. That is about it. Okay. Today is Monday, so that means I'll be back on Wednesday because I was just reading one last little comment there that wrench is coming in there, but I'm gonna end it all up. Yeah, so today I'll be back on Wednesday because I do this Monday, Wednesday, Friday at noon Eastern, and we'll kind of shut her down. So thank you for watching. Bye.